Art Solutions. I have Eric Rains on this evening. I'm super excited. Eric has been in the alternative media, spiritual communities for a long time, a very, very long time. I'm going to share a short bio and then I'm going to open it up for Eric to elaborate more on his work now. I mean, I came across him in 10 years ago. It's been, well, maybe not 10, wait, 2013. So
Yeah,
seven.
it's pretty close.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little, okay. So a long time ago, you've been around for a while and you've reached a lot of hearts. I know that because I talk to a lot of people that have either worked with you or follow your work. And I definitely know that you're a learned man and there's a lot of people that appreciate you. And I'm one of them. So thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming on to Conscious Heart
Well,
Solutions.
thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let me get to your bio. We're going to share for those that are new to Eric. Eric Rains has been around for a long time, guys. So here we go. Eric, after experiencing a dark night of the soul, culminated in 2012. Eric experiencing a dark night of the soul, culminating in 2012, followed by an intense energetic activation in 2013. Eric became aware of the implantation and parasitic construct by direct observation. His subsequent search for answers about his experience led him on a journey to self discovery. This discovery, coupled with more and more real world practice, has allowed him to gain a deep understanding of how this invasive system works, how to identify the interference and constructs. Eric promotes self-protection. There goes my phone. Sorry about that. Guys, I'm reading off my phone, so bear with me. Self-protection through daily practices, and most importantly, he knows how to remove these false constructs from himself as well as others. Eric is constantly evolving and expanding his repertoire of tools. He is currently implementing a variety of energetic tools ranging from parasite implant removal, meridian clearing and balancing, crystalline organ rejuvenation, golden theta healing, soul fragment retrieval, remote lymphatic work, and golden light energetic work. That was a lot. That's
It
pretty
always sounds like a
amazing.
lot.
It
Every
is a
time I
lot.
hear it.
He also utilizes physical based practices such as quantum pulse breathing, reverse breathing, self lymphatic massage, cycle stretching, qigong, qigong, and meditation. He is an ardent advocate of aiding the entire human race to achieve their full natural potential. As a receiver of this hidden esoteric knowledge, Eric considers it his duty and his life purpose to share this information with the world, to free all of humanity from the ravage of this system and to help create a world filled with love and light and unleashing natural humanity. Humani- Unleashing natural humanity was born. There you go, natural humanity. We'll go with
Yeah.
that. I know that was a lot, like I was getting kind of tongue tied, but I think people heard the key words coming out. I mean, you're doing amazing stuff, and I just, I don't even want to speak. I would love to listen to you, what's going on in your life today, the work that you're doing. Um, I know, I think you did a conference in, was it Mount Shasta? There's a couple, have you ever been to Mount? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
I have my retreat in Mount Shasta in the summer.
Well, no wonder I'm saying that. It's been a
Yeah.
couple years since I watched one of them. I think there was one.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was a full one that I can't remember. It's been a couple years, but I definitely I get there's a lot of people that I admire for sure, and so I try to get to everybody's. But you had a huge influence on me when I first had my awakening in 2011, and you've been super helpful in my own journey, and I appreciate that. I
You're very
appreciate
welcome.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So yes, what's going on with you, Eric? Can you,
What's going
yeah,
on with me? Oh gosh, uh, everything is going on with me. Pretty much, I've really kind of after that activation in 2013, things just went crazy, and it was like I just kind of pushed a little rock over the side of the mountain, and it just started tumbling down, and it took everything with it, and it was this giant landslide that everything just kept coming out and going faster and further, and it was really an amazing process. And within the last year or so, I've had to actually slow it all down because I was just going too fast for me to keep up with me. And I was doing so much work with other people that I had no energy to do any work for myself. And so I've actually really kind of pulled back into more of a centered space to where, you know, I can do stuff like this and I have the energy for it, and I'm not, you know, go all the time. And pretty much what I've been doing is I put out a lot of my information. It's on my YouTube channel for free now, as well as the guided collection that I have on my website. And pretty much what that does is it shows people how to activate light on the mental, the spiritual, and the physical levels with the chi, with the energy movement, with the know-how, and then you guys can all figure it out on your own. And that gives me a whole bunch more space to you know, answer questions and to help out and to work on me. And I've been really, really coming back into the space to where the activation started, you know, and it's been really an expansive journey to really kind of see all the human foibles along the way, and, you know, see how it matches up with the soul blueprint, and recognize that there's things that, you know, even somebody like me who, you know, a lot of people look at like, hey, he can do all these amazing things, he's got to be, you know, perfect. And no, I'm human too. You know. And that's what I've really been kind of coming back to, is really just centering into my own awareness and my own understanding, and from there moving it back out again. And I'm actually looking at a fairly big life change right now. I'm going to be moving to the other side of the country soon, and just traveling around and visiting communities and people, and you know, just bringing my massage table with me and getting people on there no matter where I go, and just working with people directly. And that's more along the lines of what I've been aligned with. And you know, I still do, like, I just got done with Camp Disclosure about 3 weeks ago, and that was a conference out in Georgia. And so I'm still doing presentations and stuff like that, but mostly what I'm doing right now more than anything is I've got a small group of clientele, and everything else I'm trying to give the information for people to find that work for themselves. Because that activation that happened in 2013, it wasn't random. It wasn't something that just happened to me. It was something that I pushed for, and I pushed hard. And there was a bunch of stuff that I didn't understand and I didn't know. And by having to go through that activation before I was honestly ready for it, and then having to figure everything else out afterwards, it's gotten to a space to where the results of this work are phenomenal. Mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, we're making brand new people, you know, finding where trauma is stuck inside of people and clearing it out and transmuting it. And the initial activation, it showed me the parasitic construct and the implants, the entities, the attachment, and all of that stuff. And what this has come into is a full circle understanding that they're not doing this to us. You know, if you have poop, it's going to draw flies, you know, so what we go and we look for is the thing that they're feeding on. And that is trauma. That's blocked energy, that's stuck energy. And that all comes back into a center. It comes back into what you can do right now to change your life. And if you go in and you start activating on the mental, the spiritual, and the physical levels, then anything that's dark, anything that's negative, anything that's trying to feed on that nasty emotion inside of humankind, it doesn't have a foothold. And that's what we've been doing. And it's been creating an incredible activation that people are really excited about, and I'm really enjoying it.
I just watched one of your I watch your videos on and off anyways, but just for sake of having you on as a guest this evening, I was like, okay, let me just go and kind of revisit some of his, you know, most recent videos. But I watched one about what you're mentioning now, and you had mentioned something about well, I wrote some things down, and I know I said before we, you know, I wasn't gonna, but you mentioned the bioelectric and the spark of life you had mentioned about. So I'm just throwing some information out there that I thought was, just as a everyday observer or somebody that's seeking knowledge or trying to have an understanding of what's going on, thinking other people would probably be interested to hear more about. and you did a specific video about entity attachments, and you had made a comment. You had a client that reached out to you about um, something along the lines of entity attachment. So for your, or what is your perspective on those that, because in the video you mentioned that you could collapse all your chakras down into one ball, into a sun, where
Yep.
you could, right. So can you talk about that a little bit? I know I kind of got tongue
definitely.
twisted
Okay,
trying to
so
get it out of me. Yeah.
We've got a few things to pay attention to there. It's actually not collapsing your chakras down into a sun. It's expanding them until they're one thing.
Okay.
And that's like the auric field is the bubble that surrounds us. And the energy centers, the central channel, the meridian flows inside of the body. The way that the chi moves inside of the organic structures of the body, the stronger they move, the more powerful they are, the bigger the auric field gets, the more present and more embedded inside a physical reality your auric field is, and the more that you can perceive and understand. And if you create such a powerful activation inside of yourself that your energy centers get big enough, they combine. They turn into one thing. And I'm not there yet. I've got 3 energy centers. I've got my head, I've got my heart, and my lower abdomen. And then I've got a bunch of little energy centers that are all activated by those, but those are my main energy centers right there. And the reason for that is because it's the neural tissues. And the bioelectric activation, that's how our systems work. We have bioelectricity that tells our muscles to make a movement, and it comes from the brain, it goes all the way into the hand, and the hand does, what you tell it to. And that activation right there, that's the background that most of us don't even pay attention to. But if you can start tuning into the focus inside of the body and the sensation specifically, you can start over unifying that bioelectric field. You can put so much bioelectricity inside of that area that the iron in the water inside of your blood actually catches that electromagnetic resonance because it's so strong, and it creates a vibrant, tingling, rushing, warm sensation in the body that you can physically move outside of the body. And that right there, when it gets strong enough, the over-unification of the energy centers, it's like they start to overlap on top of each other until they blow out into like a free energy device. And it's like a sun. Because the sun, it's not actually burning off fusion. It's not taking its mass and making it smaller and smaller and smaller. It's literally a transformer on the 5th dimensional level, and it's shining into 3D reality. And so, we have stuff like supernovas where the sun, the science says that it burns up all of its material, and then the gravity collapses in on itself, and then it blows out. But that's nothing more than the death cycle of the sun. It's like, okay, so we have all the energy needed from that space right there. It's done. It's no longer needed. And so it starts to revert back into a space to where it goes back into the 5th dimension. And then it learns everything that it knew. It came into the 3D reality to live its life, learn, to understand. Then it goes back in and it's born again. And it's the same exact cycle that we have here in the physical realm, where we're individual people and we die after we've learned all of our lessons here in this physical lifetime. We go back to the other side, we figure out what we want to do, then we come back in. And it's a progression that gets bigger, it gets stronger, until there is an over-unification to where you can bring your soul physically into the body here. And that's what starts to cause these energetic activations. But there's a lot that goes in with that as well. So we've got, actually here, let me cover the chakra centers first with the colors.
Okay, very good.
So like when you're looking at the rainbow spectrum of light, the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet spectrum, that right there, it's a tiny, tiny, tiny sliver of what we call visible light inside of the entire electromagnetic sphere. Mm-hmm. And inside of the electromagnetic sphere, like somebody did a ratio of it one time, and if we had a stack of papers 2,000 feet tall, the visible light spectrum is the width of one sheet of paper inside of that. And if we try to do energy work inside of what we know, which is visible light, we're limiting ourselves to that one width of the sheet of paper inside of that vastness of what's capable. And when we start to recognize that, we can go into a space to where we can get beyond that. We can get bigger and just simply expand out of the visible light spectrum into creating resonances and frequencies that we can't physically see. And that's one of the things that starts to create the activation inside of the physical body. But the entities, the attachments, like those things right there.
Can I just ask you something real quick, Eric? So what is it? So what you're speaking, is this Kundalini activation? Is
So
that
we
what
try to put
everybody's
labels on it. We try to put
okay?
labels on everything. And like Kundalini, honestly, the only thing that I've seen that is close to what people call Kundalini is the central channel meridians. You have a flow that goes up the spine and then one that comes down the front of the body, and it makes this loop that it powers all the central channel, the energy centers in the from the crown to perineum. And there is an energy flow that goes up your spine, but what happens is I see everybody talking about only the energy flowing up the spine. Nothing to do with the energy flowing back down to create the cycle, to create the circuit.
Well, I was going to
And
ask something. Okay, go ahead.
well,
Yes.
it's like filling up a balloon, you know? Like if you put so much energy all the way up into it, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then pop! And that's that Kundalini psychosis that everybody talks about. You know, like that
Went
super
through
dark
it.
night
I
of the
went
soul.
through it.
You
It
know?
was, yeah.
It's not fun, you know.
No.
It's a one-sided cycle where you don't have an ebb to your flow. You know, you don't have an exhale to your inhale. And so, like, that's what I hear when people say Kundalini. That's the only thing that I've actually physically witnessed inside of the body, and not just my body, but you know, a bunch of people that I've worked with. Is it's that Ren and Du meridian, the
Well, what if
conception vessel and the
what?
governing
Oh,
vessel meridians.
I'm sorry
Mm-hmm.
because you got me going now. My mind's like, so
See, I'm
what
telling you,
about
this is where it
oc-
starts.
yeah? What about octaves? Octaves as opposed to chakras? Because some would suggest that the octaves are the actual natural energy points of the body, and the chakra system. I'm not saying it's
Well,
right, wrong, good, or bad. I'm just bringing it to you, somebody that
so,
might know.
again, if we're looking at what our little limited human perspective can understand, the senses that our brain creates,
Okay.
sound is something that, like, we already know that there's something called an ELF frequency, like an extremely low vibrational frequency of sound that whales, that elephants, they use to communicate with, and we can't hear those. And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like a dog whistle, it's so high pitched that we can't hear that either. Well, that's
Right.
just a tiny amount. Like it goes so much further in and out. And if we look at the way that cymatic frequencies actually create patterns in substrates such as water, sand, and you know, salt sometimes, it's a vibration that when it goes through that substrate, it creates a specific pattern. And this pattern, when we start to understand the vibrational of the universe, the sound frequency that's vibrating physical matter into existence, that right there is something that we can also tap into, but it's not auditory sound. It's something that, well, it technically could be if we had the capability to understand it, but it's so far outside of what we do know that, again, that limited range of what we can hear inside of it, it doesn't tap into that level. And so when you start expanding outside of it, not only do you start getting colors and frequencies and sounds that you can't understand with your physical senses, but it creates physical activations inside of the body that activate DNA, that clean out trauma, that heal the physical flesh. There's multiple levels in that. Now, as for an octave inside of the energy center, it creates an octave, but it is not an octave. It's not a vibration. It's a conglomeration of multiple things. Because it's always as above, so below. And we can see, hear, taste, touch, and smell, but we're inside of such a limited range of frequency with that, and it goes all the way up and all the way down to vast, vast realms outside of what we understand. And so it's all of these things together. It's everything that we can sense inside of a level that's outside of our ability to sense it. And so it's like the physical realms here, they give us the concept, the understanding of what we're looking for, and then we can explore it with our consciousness. And that's pretty much what I do.
I could talk to you forever. Like, I just know I could, because
Yeah.
I
Oh, it's
have,
fun.
you know, I mean, just what you just shared is like a whole freaking, God knows how long people would really wrap that around their mind or their heart, because we do
Yep.
know that the heart has
Yeah.
brain and stomach has brain matter and that kind
Well,
of thing. But yeah,
here, let me explain that one too.
okay. Yeah,
Like when
please
we're
do.
being formed in utero, we actually end up having our heart space is the first neural tissues that are created. And the heart inside of it starts to pump, and that pumping action starts to give us the pressure needed to move our brain up into our head and our intestines down into the gut. And that's how our nervous system is formed. We end up having everything, our brains, our intestines. It starts in one conglomeration with the heart in the center, then everything becomes a spinal column, a brain, a spinal column down below, and then the intestines. And so we have an open ball up top. This is the one that we can interact with. We have the transformer in the center, and then we have the coil down at the bottom. Tesla coil.
Interesting.
It's the exact same thing. And so what's happening is humankind, we have too much brain understanding. We are so overloaded inside of logical thinking that the gut instinct, the belly brain, is oftentimes just poo-pooed to the side. Like, we don't pay attention to it. And it's like, no, this is what I know. This is what has to happen. And then we let intuition, we let epiphany, we let all of these things that lead us into a space of pure magic just kind of fall to the side. And it's always there. It's just that we never train ourselves to pay attention to it. And like, if you're actually looking at the neural tissues of the brain, it's the exact same neural tissues that we have inside of our intestines. But the heart, it's like half muscle, half neural tissue. And so it's the gateway into the physical body. And the physical body is where the vessel, the temple of our consciousness exists. And our consciousness is connected into so much information that if we bring it physically into the body, it starts creating a physical reaction. And if you pay attention to the reaction of this frequency, this resonance, this emotion, this understanding, whatever it might be, if I create this and I cultivate it and I make more of it, if I make it stronger, then it does this. And you start just kind of analyzing and seeing how they all fit together. And it leads to a space to where you infinitely flow through. You can't let yourself get stuck inside a thought. You just move into what feels correct. And it's magic.
You know, I often mention heart intelligence with people, and it's so, one of my questions I was going to ask you is what you would suggest or recommend to people to be able to balance their heart and their mind where they're in a place of...
Well, this is what I do.
I know. Well,
so
that's
this would be really, you want to actually go through like an exercise for you and everybody else?
Absolutely. That would be fantastic.
See, because this is what I'm all about, screw the brain information. Like, let's do something that we can actually take home today,
Okay.
Like, let's do something that makes us feel better today.
You're awesome.
Well, I'm tired of looking at people just talking about stuff. Let's do some stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to start practicing now that I've got you on my TV screen here. You have this beautiful mandala behind you, and it's body regeneration induction, 5 minutes a day. I'm going to start, yeah, I quit smoking, by the way, but I do not massage like you, but I do ionic detoxes for people, and I have people from in their early 20s up till 70, 80 clients that come see me, and I help them. Yeah, but I would love to be able to incorporate some more, at least share information with them, and I definitely will be recommending more people to even at work, just tell them check out Eric Rains on YouTube and you'll learn a lot. Maybe they'll reach out and want to get a session with you. Yeah, because I know you helped me a lot when I had just that one session with you.
If anything, I would direct them to the Foundations class that's on my YouTube channel.
Okay, well, we'll do that.
It's about an hour and a half long workshop, but it's it's on point.
Very good.
All right, so first things first, right here. Belly breathing. So this is my belly button, pelvis, solar plexus. Just simply watch what I'm going to do right here. This is the simple mechanics of a belly breath. I'm going to relax my tummy. I'm going to just simply... That's it. That's the simplest way to get your body to start calming down right there. So let's just sink into that for about 5 or 6 breaths, and then I'll walk everybody through the next aspect of this.
Okay. So I need to stand up, or I can do that sitting down?
I was just showing you.
Oh.
And as you exhale, try to completely relax the body, and you'll just drain the air out. What this is doing is this is simply the opposite of fight or flight breathing. When we're in fight or flight, our tummies are clenched, our pelvic floor is tight, and we have nothing but shallow chest breathing. And our bodies are very simple. And when you do this, you're saying, I don't want to be in fight or flight. And your body says, okay. And once we get to this space, it's really easy to start telling what we want inside of the body. And so, our bodies respond very, very clearly to external stimuli as well as internal stimuli. And one of the most powerful ways that we can recognize internal stimuli is body language. You can tell when somebody's upset. You can tell when somebody's happy. Their body shows these traits. And when you have the fight or flight, that's the upset. And so by going into this belly breathing right here, you've simply said, I don't want that. And it calms the mind and it makes the body feel better. And you can start to tell it what you want. Now, this right here, that right there, it's very obvious when you feel good inside because it bubbles up and it makes you, ha ha ha, you know, like, and that feeling right there, what we're going to do is instead of talking with our brains, we're simply going to tell our body what we want. We're going to communicate on the language that the body understands. And so just simply put a smile on your face. And as you breathe in, pretend that this feeling on your face is being pulled in like a liquid or a smoke that you're trying to pull into your chest or into your tummy. And so with that same deep belly breathing pattern, just start pulling in your smile. Let's get 3 or 4 breaths like this here. So you're already feeling it there, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a soft wave inside your chest, isn't it? Turn that sensation up, almost like you have a volume dial attached to it. Breathe it in, and suddenly you're feeling the field of your heart space right now. And it's almost like you want to shine the flashlight of your awareness where your brain thinks. You want to point it into your chest and start to make that space feel like there's a little child in there laughing, echoing inside of that softness. Right there, it makes you want to almost laugh, doesn't it?
It's so lovely. It really is.
Now just move your shoulders around. How does your physical flesh feel now?
Feels good to move. I don't think I've moved my, I mean, I do, but it feels good, Eric. It does.
It's like you've got more space in there now, right? Just imagining
that going into the smile and that's lovely. Never thought of it. I never thought of that.
That's because we're always thinking when it comes to the brain. And our brain is absolutely just asininely stupid when it comes to body language. Like it sits there and it looks at things and then it speaks words. And it's like, smile, smile, you know? And you can't make your body understand that. Your body doesn't understand English. But it does understand, hey, this feeling right here, I want that.
I will tell you, I do smile a lot. I am a happy, I have my moments, but I'm definitely a pretty happy, outgoing.
This isn't about being happy. This is about telling your body the frequency that you want. And that soft sensation, that literally is chi. It's chi activated with the sensation of joy. And we can tune that into anything that we want. Now that you've kind of got that gateway open, check this out. I want you to tune into the sensation that would make you tell somebody, thank you so much. Not the words, that feeling of thank you, that feeling of gratitude. And put that sensation in your smile, and as you breathe in, pull that in too.
Because I get that, I think I do this already, just so you know. Probably on default.
Well, this isn't for you then. This is for everybody else.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm only I'm not. Yeah, I got it.
It's like you want to tie in that soft feeling with the feeling of thank you. And there's a literal resonance. It's like that softness will start taking on a little bit different feeling. And that's the feeling that you want to start paying attention to. And once that's strong enough, once you have this softness inside of you, this isn't a physical location. This is an energy. This is almost like a cloud of something that feels good. And as you exhale, let that cloud start to flow down into your hands and into your feet. See, you're already starting to yawn. That's the trauma.
I was just going to say, I feel like I want to yawn. Why? Why would that be?
Because tension. Like when we have tension stuck inside of the physical muscles, as soon as we let it go, our body has very specific responses to let it go. And so what you want to do is just kind of go into it and tell it, this right here, and relax. Almost like you're draining your body out of anything that you don't enjoy.
Yeah, I feel this overwhelming desire to yawn.
Yeah, and that's all tension. That's all trauma release that's releasing from the body. And the more you go through it to the point to where you're not yawning anymore, you're not getting any weird twitches or, kind of like ticks in your body, as soon as that's gone, you feel so much more open, so much softer. And you can stretch your body into ways that you can't get into range of motion when you're super tight like that. And you start bringing it all together into the same space. It feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does feel good, but I still feel like I want to yawn.
Uh-huh.
I'm not I guess somehow I'm telling my body don't do it, so it's not as. But I had that impulse, like I just want a deep, big yawn just
Uh-huh.
to let it out.
Well, do you remember when you were
Probably.
younger how like you would have like almost automatic deep breaths? Like when you were a kid, you'd be sitting there playing around, then all of a sudden you just have no choice but to
There you go. I just got that.
there it is.
I
So
did.
we train ourselves out of it. We start thinking too much. We grow up and then we get into the adult world and we have all of these problems and these issues and these worries, and we aren't children anymore. And children are able to understand the concept. You know, they don't understand English when they're starting off, or whatever language is the native language. They only understand how they feel. Nobody had to tell us what being happy felt like or what feeling sad felt like. We came hard loaded with that, and we knew right away when we felt it. And this is what's happening right here. You're speaking on that language to your body that says, this is what I want. And you're not telling it with your words in your brain, you're telling it with everything else inside. And so by creating that sensation internally, what ends up happening is if you meditate on it, if you just simply sit in silence and you create this feeling and you hold on to it and you cultivate it, it starts to activate. It starts to turn on the energy centers. It starts to blow out the auric field. You start getting your bubble around you, and you can physically communicate with the reality at large. And this is one of the reasons why I understand so much of what I know. Like, yes, I am educated, and I do have a really, really good brain background in a lot of the things. But like a lot of this stuff, I have no concept for because it's not taught here. I have to go out and investigate it energetically. And then it's almost like I tune into the feeling of what the question is, and it's an energy. And then you just bring it in and translate it into English.
Well, I was just getting ready to. That's just you must have. Maybe we've got a little telepathy or
Well, it's
something
the
going
auric
on because.
field, you know, like
Okay.
it's
So
psychic.
you
You know?
probably knew I was just getting ready to ask that. And now you
Yeah.
answered it before I ever asked it.
I'm
That's
jumping the gun.
fascinating.
Sorry.
No, don't you? No, but well, this is helpful for the listeners and
Hmm.
the audience that's listening in because this is how it works. I mean,
Hmm.
I remember. I'll just say for myself. I remember when I first had my awakening and I definitely had a Kundalini activation. If we want to use that word just for description of what
Well, yeah, we want to
some
call
would
it whatever we understand
right.
it
That
as, you know.
right. So
Yeah.
I'm just using that for those that understand through that word or have a better understanding, should I say? Because I don't think anybody really understands it or understands it, should I say, until they experience it. You
Exactly.
could try and explain it all you want, and it's just, I
It's
mean,
just an idea. It's not the
yeah,
concept. The
yeah,
concept is something that you can tangibly feel.
right. So, thank you. I appreciate that that teaching because I never thought of that. But good job. Um, I did. Uh, so I went through that and I was able to use I was using telepathy. Basically, everything I thought, all my thoughts were manifesting like almost instantly. Things were playing out in my reality just by my thoughts. And I remember, well, this isn't so nice, but I'll share it with you just so you have an understanding. I was connecting with the earth or my DNA. I heard they're raping and killing my children, and that was really mind blowing to me. And I wasn't, of course, I didn't share with anybody because I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and then I was using telepathy, and people were kind of like looking at me like, "How are I was connecting. Now I was in a place of bliss and very loving energy, but it wasn't long after I definitely was. I activated I was lit up, and that attracted a whole lot of stuff, and I went through a lot of nonsense during my spirit, dark night of the soul. That's when I was contacting you and a few others to get some
Yeah.
help, and I thank y'all all for that. And I'm just really, just these past couple of years of really start moving more into being okay and accepting of everything that I experienced, and I learned so much. It really, I had a lot to burn through, a lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but
one
I'm
of the things
happy.
that
I
I've
mean, now looking back, I can say thank you. And
mhm.
going through it was not. I blamed everything and everybody. outside of me for all my woes. Years ago, a long time
one of the
ago.
things that I've definitely come to recognize here is that being bright doesn't attract dark stuff. The dark stuff's already there. Being bright opens up your awareness to what's already there.
Oh,
And
okay.
what we end up
Fair
having,
enough.
like if you look at people who are unawakened, who have no energy flow, just running about throughout their day, a lot of their thoughts and impulses aren't even theirs, you know, and that's the program. That's the space where it's already embedded, because what these things feed on is negative emotion, trauma. And if you look at the way trauma works inside of the body, it's a muscle memory resonance. And this is what, you know, chiropractors, they put the bones back into alignment because the muscles are pulling them out. And the whole thing is, well, why are the muscles being pulled on? Why are they so tight that they're pulling the bones out of alignment to begin with? And if you go in and start investigating the actual physical flesh and taking that soft sensation and moving it through, it's like a rock inside there. And so if you stay with it and you hold on to it, you'll start exploding the emotion out of it. And it's almost 100% of the time not fun. You know, like there's anger, there's sadness, there's guilt, there's shame, all kinds of nasty things that get stuck physically inside of the body. And that's what these things feed on. And so what they do is when they find somebody who has enough energy flowing through them, they start to make it so that they loop back into the trauma. And so they'll start creating reminders and thought processes and patterns that go back into that emotion to trigger the emotion.
Absolutely.
But
Yes.
it's already there to begin with. And whether or not it's ours, it really doesn't matter, because if it's in there, it's there. You have no choice but to address it. And it might not be yours. This might be coming from the genetic code. It might be something that your parents passed down to you, or it might be 15, 20 generations up the line that trauma was never cleaned out and it's embedded physically inside of you. And that's what these things feed on. And so when you start your activation process, when you start getting bright, I see a bunch of people just rushing for the finish line, trying to be that ultimate light being and ascended master, and like they're not paying attention to their trauma. And that is more important than any of this beautiful light work ever could be. Like, we got to go diving into that shadow. We got to go into that really ugly space. They're raping and killing my children. You know, like that right there, it's not comfortable, it's not fun, but it's true. And that right there is where we have to start recognizing you can love and light everything all you want, but all it's going to do is just kind of whitewash things and keep the ugly stuff underneath the surface. We got to take the light into the ugly. We got to go in and recognize that this dense, hard, stuck energy that's heavy, that's pulling downwards, that's not going to fix anything if you go in there and tell it that it's bad and it's ugly and you hate it. And you know, like that right there is just dense energy. And if you compound dense energy with dense energy, it's going to be more dense. And the only way through it is
Eric,
to create the
you
love.
just said so much that was so. I mean, I definitely have been doing shadow. I mean, I don't mean to keep referring to me, but of course,
well, you're the example that you understand.
Well,
you know?
Right, exactly. So I'm not trying to make it about me, you know, but I can only use, and I don't mind using myself. I'm pretty wide open. There's no, you know, I have nothing to hide. Like, you know, I don't share everything. Maybe, you know, I shared, you probably don't remember, I shared some pretty amazing or fascinating stuff with you years ago. But
yeah,
either way, I definitely have some very old DNA, and I know I'm bloodline from both sides and whatever, all that stuff that I don't even like. I have no attachment to it other than how it affects me in this lifetime. And I've been trying. I mean, I've had sessions with you and some other people that I hold up in high regard. I think you guys are amazing, and I definitely appreciate your skill set. You're definitely learned. You know what's going on, like what you just said. I know that you're able to tap into the ethers and the energies and so forth. A lot of people that are watching the show right now, a few that I know for sure, and if they're not, they will be later. They don't really understand any of this of what we're talking about. So I'm hoping that they'll go to your channel and start, you know, if they're interested. I used to be the one that would get in the cab or the bus, you know, at the bus stop or at the doctor's office, and was like, especially when I first woke up, I mean, I was talking about everything from black magic to, you know, fluoride in the water and the whole bit, because I was just like mind blown. And of course you're like, how did I not know this, right? Until you awaken and all the things start reflecting back to you.
yeah.
and
Yeah.
then you're just, yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is you start going into the wake up psychosis is what I call it, where it's like, well, we got to save humanity from all of these problems. You have to know, you have to. Well, you're talking to the brain. You're never
Well, I
ever
appreciate
going
that
to be
post
able
you
to.
made the other day,
Yeah.
by the way. I reposted it because it was such a powerful, important message that I hope it reached the masses, because about what you had said about, that's what kept us, or has kept us where we're at, is wanting to fight against the system. Yeah.
Yep.
And
the
I
only
agree
thing we
with you
can
with
do is
that.
build something better. The only
Yes,
thing we can
I
do is lead by
absolutely agree.
example.
Yes.
And we have to step up into the space to where, like this is all brain information in theory, and people are talking about, well, you got to do this and you got to do this and we got to let people know about this. Nobody cares. Everybody's all inside of their own understanding of where they're at. And you can't convince somebody on a brain level that they've been fooled. Like, it'll never work. They're going to double down and they're going to start fighting you. The only thing that we can do is inspire. The only thing that we can do is show by example what is possible. And there's a lot of things that are completely and totally, miracles, like straight up miracles that each and every one of us is capable of doing. And when we start stepping into that space right there, that's how we change everything. It's not about fighting the system. It's about creating something so much more pure and beautiful that everybody says, well, the heck with that thing. Let's focus on this, and like that's what we have to do. And I see a lot of focus on the problem. Which again, as above, so below. Like if we're going into the body and say, for instance, let's tune into an actual example. So I just had a client 3 weeks ago who, her father was not a nice person. He was extremely abusive on multiple levels, energetically, psychically, sexually, physically. He was not a nice person at all. And the reason that he was even capable of stuff like that was because he felt disgusting emotions and feelings inside of himself. And so he had nothing to get away from that. He had no understanding of what was going on, and he was only going with the impulse inside of him. And she was done with it, and here she was 30 years down the road, and it was still affecting her to the point to where she was paranoid. She'd hear a loud noise at night, and oh God, like, oh, he's coming to get me. And it's 30 years later, he's been dead for 10 years, and like there was still that incredible amount of trauma inside of this lady. And when we went into this, it was not comfortable for her. This was not an easy thing to have to trigger and then go into. But she got so stuck inside of it that she couldn't look at anything else. She couldn't think of anything else. It was all this destruction inside of her, all of this awful feelings inside of her. And what we had to do was show her, hey, so tell me where that's at. Like, that's a physical sensation inside of you. You feel awful right now. Make it worse. Feel where your body is cramping up, where it's stuck. And so she actually isolated it. It was the bottom of her heart space right here, all the way down, and then it went into her right hip. And she could feel it like a rock inside of her. And so as soon as she understood where it was, I said, okay, now what I need you to do is expand just a little bit. And it's rock hard and awful and disgusting right there. Just look outside of it. Where is that rock hard disgusting knot? Where does it start to get softer? Because you just pointed out, this is right here. There's a whole bunch of you that is not that. Show me where that is. And so as soon as she started looking for something that was not the only thing that she could pay attention to, that's when she started to be able to have enough room inside of her to bring that soft smile in next to it. And that's what started to change it. It's like bringing light next to a shadow. And it started to dissolve and clean out that space inside of her to where she could fully let it go. And we went through every single trigger that she ever had with her father, and she never even had a reaction to it. There was no emotion that came up, nothing but this space of like, well, every time I turn this over, it's always crazy under there and I'm waiting for it, but there's nothing, And so like that right there is how we fix the problem. And right now in the world, as above, so below, what ends up happening is we have some very obvious problems. Like we have some very, very obvious problems.
Well, for sure.
And we need to understand.
And I'm not exempt from that. None of us are exempt from that.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the world as a collective. Like right now, the world is nuts. And there's some very obvious things that people are literally fighting against. They're putting all of their attention onto it and they're raging at it. And we need to know. We do need to know what these things are. We need to know what they're doing, why they're doing it, but we can't sit there and focus entirely on it. We have to start building outside of it. It's like, okay, this is completely screwed up right here. Where is it not? Where do we have space to go and start working to build something different? And that's the solution that we have to start creating. And like right now, we're in a collective dark night of the soul, and we aren't going to get out of it until people start recognizing they don't like feeling this way, and we start.
Well, that's exactly what I was just going to say. So when I said I, meaning I always believe that everything comes back to self.
As above, so below, right?
Right. Okay. So that's why I said I, not making it about me. Just so for the listeners, and I definitely believe that even in my daily life, you know, when things I feel, well, I'm definitely feeling it. I'll be honest, you know, I'm not some love light and everything's beautiful and wonderful all the time. I'm going through, you know, some issues. I don't want to, you know, I'm just done. I'm like, we do this same thing over and over again. And whether it's me and I'm not changing or you're not changing, we're not getting to a place where we can communicate from a loving space. We're attacking each other. And I don't want to behave that way.
Nope.
I don't with anybody, and especially my family. You know,
that's why we
I don't want to.
Love and compassion, that feeling inside of us, and then sitting inside of it, and then acting from that space, and not letting ourselves think about what we need to be programmed with, but truly operating from that feeling inside of us.
So I feel that, you know, I mean, I've been doing the shadow work for years, and I have things that I've done very well at healing and overcoming, and that's for sure. And then I have just these last little remnants of what was that?
Oh, the things that aren't so easy. You know, the easy ones are easy, and it's like
it's less than a handful of. And I know it has everything to do with my relationships with men. Like I'll just use this as an example with you today. I had a client, bless him, very nice man, offered to write up a business plan for me, right? I had mentioned that I needed to get this business plan put together, whatever. Long story short, I said to him, well, how much would you charge me? And he said, I'll just do it for you just because, you know, it's not a big deal. I don't mind. I'll help you out and just write it up. Because he's a learned man. You know, he's done some pretty amazing work. I'll just say that. Anyways, long story short, I don't know how to receive that. Coming from a man, I'm always thinking, not always, let me correct that. Certain people or certain energy or certain something that I think that they have ulterior motive. And I don't want to accept anything from them because I don't know what their motive is behind being nice or being kind, like because of past experiences. This is still an issue for me. Like I haven't dated in 4 years. I've been celibate by choice, not, you know, this all things that I thought were important for me to get the healing and do what I need to do for myself. So I've gotten quite comfortable there, Eric, where it's like, will I ever have a beloved again? Not that I couldn't find somebody, of course I could, but I just haven't been open to that. So the minute, even if it's coming to me as innocent as offering help to write I'm like, have my defenses up, like, nope, don't come near me, or I don't say that, but that's how my body language is, like, back up, dude, you know, like, and he's not even doing anything.
There is a lot of ulterior motives, and that's the thing. And so what I do is I say thank you.
Yeah.
And then I don't give anything back because I'm all about communication. If you want something from me, let me know. No problem. Don't sit there and try to give me something and then beat around the bush and get upset when I'm not going to give you something, because I'm going to say thank you at face value, and then I'm going to keep on going on my day. You know?
Right. Well, okay, and being a woman, and I'll just speak for me, I'm not speaking for all women, I don't allow men to do gifts for me that I have no interest in. Why? Because I don't want to mislead them. I'm not interested in you, you know, not that I'm this, you know, I do want a beloved, somebody to exchange that kind of building together and co-creating together, but not just anybody. I don't, even when I was out there, you know, back in the day, like when I went to a club, if I accepted a drink, you buy me a drink, meaning a person, I had a reason why I wanted that drink. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't do it now. It's something for me, it's not about keeping myself safe. It's just setting some boundaries that I
Yeah.
never knew how to have before. So
Yeah.
I go through judgment of myself, like, I don't, you being too hard. Like, I mean, but then I'm like, no, I have to be clear. Well, you know, what's interesting, and I don't know if he's watching this. I Facebook friend requested him. I did send him a message and said to him, I hope I didn't offend you in any way, but, you know, I just wanted to be clear, you know, about our conversation. He's not responded to me. So
Mm.
it's
Well,
okay.
I think that's why communication is key. You know,
Yeah.
it's one of those things like, hey, yeah, no problem. I really appreciate what you're doing here, but I'm not interested, and this is what I'm interested in. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And if you want to help me out, thank you.
Well, I
You
did
know?
say thank you to him, and I, you know, but anyways, my point in telling you that is I still have some things that need to be worked. It seems like my,
We all do.
um, I'm super, I'm sorry,
We
am
all
I
do.
yelling?
Oh, no, no, I'm saying that we all do.
Yeah, yeah. But I have, like, I'm, it's almost like every little, uh, shadow aspect of myself, I'm so like super conscious. It's like I'm going through an ego death, Eric, where every little thing I'm questioning, am I being manipulative? Am I being, you know, over extending myself? Because I have a tendency to do that too. Like I overgive. I'm a Leo, I'm an empath for sure. And I've had the narcissistic, empathic, you know, those kinds of relationships my whole life. And I am now have gotten to a point where my self worth and value mean more to me than anything. And I will walk away from toxic relationships, period. Whether it's family, friends, it doesn't matter what feels toxic for me because I need to feel comfortable and safe in my own skin.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not willing to do the back and forth, you know, the communication that way. Being
Mm-hmm.
coming from a loving and kind, compassionate place, that's my norm. But I do get defensive. I'm like on defense when I'm trying to work on myself and practice certain behaviors and I'm still dealing. It's like trying to get sick. I mean, trying to get well in a real sick environment. It's hard to do that when everybody that you're kind of, not everybody, but people you're, well, family. I mean, my family thinks I'm crazy. They think, you know, they do.
Mine too.
Yeah. So, um, and they don't understand me and they don't understand why I, you know, yeah. Anyways, Eric, you're so awesome.
Thank you.
You are. You really are. I'm not saying that, you know, I bring guests on and I tell all my guests they're awesome and I mean that. Certain guests that I have on that I feel so honored and blessed to have you, and I really feel that way. I think
Thank you.
you've done such great work. I mean, I know you got to be proud of yourself. I know you are, but
I'm really, you know, I see the problem is when you start hitting levels of mastery is that you start recognizing how much better you could be, how much better you could make it. And so, you know, from an outside perspective, there's a lot that I have done that, you know, it seems like there's a lot of achievement there. And yeah, I have achieved a lot. I have done a lot. But I also see how much more I could do. I also see how much more is possible. And, you know, I am proud of myself for what I've done, but I also understand what I haven't and what I still have to do. And that's also one thing that really kind of keeps me grounded because, you know, when you start being able to do literally miraculous work like pulling pain out of people's bodies or, you know, going and finding a piece of their soul that's stuck and then giving it back to them, like these types of things, people start looking at you in a completely different way. And there's a lot of admiration and putting on a pedestal and flattery that, you know, if you let that get to your head, it's really easy. Like, well, I am really freaking awesome, aren't I? You know, but I really have to ground myself with it because I have achieved a lot, but there is so much more that I could achieve. And I'm proud of myself and I'm really excited to see what happens in the future. I really, truly am.
I've never gotten that feeling from you of arrogance or pompousness or any of that. No,
That's
I've
because
seen
I
your
have to make sure that
confidence.
I
I
stay away
feel
from
your,
it.
well, I feel your confidence,
Yep.
and I think that's lovely. Nothing
Yep.
wrong with that.
No, there's
And
nothing wrong with that.
yeah,
Absolutely
yeah.
nothing. Confidence is
People
a
get
beautiful thing.
people that are jealous and envious. misconstrued confidence with being arrogant
Yeah.
or but I don't see you in that way at all, and I
Well, that's
appreciate
because
your
I've done a
mastery.
lot of
So
I've done
yeah,
a lot of work on it. You know, like
yeah,
I was totally falling down that pathway.
yeah,
It's really easy, you know. It's really really easy when you have people telling you that you're an angel incarnate and how you're ushering in a new wave of human evolution, and it's like, oh wow, this maybe I am amazing like that, and you start getting into these little ego traps, and it's
yeah.
very very important to recognize that I'm not better than you, you're not better than me, we're all just hanging out doing the best that we can,
Right.
and the best that we can sometimes it brings results, and that's where we have to stay.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never seen you that way. I'm not saying people. I mean, maybe you have, but I've never seen that. Of course.
Well,
Yeah.
that's because
Yeah.
I don't put it out there. It was a pathway back in like 2013, 2014. I was definitely
Yeah.
susceptible to it, and I've done a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
work on it. So
Yeah. It's all good. It's okay. Well, I mean, you recognize it and you caught it and you nipped it in the bud, and that's what
yeah,
matters. I mean, well, that's my point is like, I've worked on and definitely transmuted and transcended a lot of my own stuff, but there are just, less than a handful of things. I would say less than a handful. Like, you know, I went from partying and drugs and alcohol and all this stuff and permit being promiscuous and sexual part, all this stuff to completely turning my life is not. I'm definitely not who I used to be.
me either.
And yeah,
No, me either. 15
yeah,
years ago, you wouldn't have recognized me. I was addicted to meth. I was an alcoholic. Like,
yeah. So I was on
there's a
cocaine
lot
and
going
I
on.
was drinking and having sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Very much so.
Yeah, yeah.
So and I don't have judgment towards those that are still struggling at all. Of course, I have a great
No,
deal of
if anything, I
compassion and
understand them. I
yeah,
understand them very, very well,
yeah.
and I see why, and I understand why, and more importantly, I can help them. And that's I wouldn't be
Well,
able
I
to
want
help people
people
like that.
listening. Yeah, people that are listening to the show. If any of you, whether you're listening live, I haven't been on Facebook to see how many listeners we have, but either way, I know that there'll be people that will definitely be listening to you on my YouTube channel. And if you share it, that's lovely. That's great. But I
Yeah,
want
I'll
those that
definitely
have
send it
not
out
come
on an
across
email.
Eric's work to go to his website, go to his YouTube channel, and you know consider that if you want to get some, have a session with him, that you will, um, he'll exceed your expectations for sure. You'll find things shift very, well, I would imagine rapidly now. I mean, your
Hmm.
skill set is probably improved, you know,
Don't
awful
do
then.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't just do the work for people anymore. I do the work for people if they can't figure it out, or if it's too heavy or too strong of a system for them. But for the most part, I teach people how to do this work for themselves. So it's not even about me doing it for you. It's about showing you how to do this for yourself. That way, you can continue after I work with you.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's something that I need to have a reconsider, maybe revisit. I mean,
I'd love to work with you again.
yeah, yeah. I definitely am ready to get through this last bit of. I feel like I have so much more. I wouldn't say supposed to be doing. I want to do. I
Yeah.
mean, I do a lot in my community in my area, and I do, what little stuff I do on Facebook, just putting out as much positive, or it's not always, information that people maybe want to come across or see, but it's stuff that I think that holds enough, um, you know, information that's worth having a look at for those that want to have a deeper look, or,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to things that we won't talk about on the show. Not that I fear whatever. It's just I don't even want to go down that road with them. But the jab, right?
Yeah.
People that are choosing to, I just it's sad because I have a lot of family members that have decided to go that route, and there's an aspect of me that has already started the mourning of losing my family.
Mhm.
If that makes sense.
Well,
There's
I can tell you right now from personal experience. I've worked with the Moderna and the Pfizer, and it's not the end. Like DNA is very very responsive to energetic frequency, and something that is trying to interfere with natural humanity, it will easily be cleaned out if we can create a resonance strong enough. And it's not the end. And I'm seeing so many lines in the sand drawn right now. Like, oh well, they've done that. Then obviously they're dead. They're dead. They're subhuman. They're transhuman. And like,
Oh
no,
well,
no,
I
no,
mean,
no,
I
no.
don't know that I've taken it. Well, that has crossed my mind. I'm not gonna lie to you. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
I had a flu shot in 2013, Eric. It disrupted my entire
yeah,
neurological system. I mean,
yeah.
even my doctor, Janina, she said, Ida, whatever you did attacked your neurological system. The only thing I had done was get a flu shot after saying no 1,000 times. And I turned around and I don't know what the hell I was thinking that day, but I took it and it was the worst thing I could have ever done in my life.
Yeah.
Now I have not, now I just had 2 crowns. It's like you have to, like I don't want a freaking root canal. So I get crowns put on my teeth, 2 of them in the back. And then I'm still questioning whether I should have even done that. It's like for the most part, I don't go to the doctor. I don't take medications. I don't, a lot of things, but I have family members that buy into all that stuff.
Well, I'm
Instead of coming to somebody like you, where you could do an energetic clearing.
Well, I mean, see, that's the thing. I mean, let's put a pause on that right there,
Okay.
because we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's so much that Western medicine has brought us that we would never have been able to do without it. If you come to me with a bone sticking out of your arm, you're gonna get vomit on you.
Yeah.
I can't help you with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Western medicine is amazing for keeping people alive after trauma. Now, however, the allopathic part of this, to where there's a whole bunch of the for-profit medicines, like there's a lot that is nothing more than just it's creating side effects that you have to take more medicine for, and it's nothing more than this money loop inside of it. But there are an amazing amount of things that Western medicine has brought to us, specifically because we understand the way that the body works in a way that we never did back in the day when we were all hanging out around campfires. And when we start integrating both sides of this is where the magic is. When we start truly understanding the resonances of the body in measurable ways, like we have with Western medicine, and apply our understanding of the energy world, this is where it's going to come together. And I truly believe the doctors of the future are going to be acupuncture, chiropractor, massage therapist, physical therapist doctors. And that right there, and nutritionists. Don't let we can't forget nutrition. But
well, I was gonna ask you about that with the gut health and how that interrupts our way to be able to communicate properly with our heart and our gut in making real holistic healthy choices for ourselves. But anyways, please continue.
First and foremost, like our gut health is one of the easiest things to get back. Have you heard of the Phoenix Protocol?
I have not.
So it's one of the most horrible things ever. It's pretty much a 7-day dry fast, no food, no water, and it's not horrible because you're super hungry and super thirsty. Come about a day and a half, you aren't even hungry anymore, and like you miss food, you miss water, but you have no energy whatsoever, not even to think. And it's one of the most boring weeks that you will ever experience in your life. But it's one of the easiest ways to let your gut heal and fully start integrating it back in. And not just your gut. I was hypoglycemic. My family, I've got a history of diabetes in my family. And what ended up happening is
I do too. Yeah.
Well, the first time that I did it, because I'm hypoglycemic, I was kind of worried about it. I have to eat like every 7-8 hours or so, or I start getting really, really shaky. Well, I used to. And I wasn't able to make the 7 days the first time. I ended up having to bring myself because my blood pressure tanked on the beginning of the 4th day. But after that, I haven't had a problem with my hypoglycemia since. Like, I've been able to do whatever I want, and I feel strong. I feel capable even without food. And then when I got done with the 7 days,
did the fasting, only the fasting corrected that?
It's called the Phoenix Protocol. So pretty much what happens is when you start going into that amount of dehydration, your body becomes very acidic. And when you're like going into a ketogenic diet, something where you have no carbs or anything like that, to put yourself into ketosis, that's what happens in the first day and a half. But then you switch over into something called acidosis. And you become so acidic that you start breaking down plaque inside your body on every level. Plaque in your lymphatic systems, plaque in your arteries, plaque in your gut, plaque in your brain. And those are the fatty deposits that it's like an oily buildup that nothing except acid is going to break it down. And so what it does is it starts to clean out all of these different places inside of you, your organs, your brain, your neurological systems, the limbic system, and it opens it up so that it doesn't have anything that is suppressing its ability to do what it's naturally supposed to do. And if you don't have anything suppressing what it's supposed to do, it's not aging. And so it's literally dissolving the reasons why we have age inside of our bodies. And so like the theory behind it, like we don't know yet, because like nobody's actually lived to 300 years yet on this.
Yeah,
but
right.
The theory behind it is if all of your organs don't have a reason to be backed up and shutting down, then there's no reason why you can't biologically live forever. And the guy, Augustus, he's a retired MD. He's the one who's like really pioneering this right here. He's done it 6 or 7 times, and I mean he's like fully white haired and in his 70s, and he's already starting to get his muscle mass back. He's starting to grow black hair in the back of his head. His face is
doing these fastings
just from the fast, and it's not a water fast. Or it's not it's a dry fast, not a water fast. Because
I did a 2-day dry fast before, but I didn't get much further than that.
Well,
I will tell you when I fasted though before, like my dream time, my theory, like I travel, and it becomes very apparent and clear.
The trick is that it's day 3. That's when all the parasites in your body start dying off because they don't have all the liquid that they need. And we've been told up one side and down the other, you go 3 days without water, you're going to die. Well, I went 7. I could probably do 10. I'm probably going to be doing that here in like 4 or 5 months. But
well, you're making me think about it.
Day 4 is where you start breaking down all the plaque inside of the body, and day 5, 6, and 7 is where you start to actually activate all the stem cells in the body. And we have stem cells everywhere. And it's not something that, in stem cells, if you don't know, those are the things that they, if there's damage, it goes in and it becomes whatever it needs to be. So if it's going in and becoming a liver cell, it'll turn into a liver cell. If it needs to be a bone cell, it'll turn into a bone cell. And they're everywhere inside of our body, but they never have that activation code. And so what ends up happening is as you go through this, you start activating the entire lymphatic system, or the stem cells in the body, and you flood yourself with human growth hormone. And me personally, like if I ever do any type of fasting, like I'm all skin and bone and muscle, and I lose weight so fast. And I actually didn't lose much. It was only water weight. I got my water weight back 2 days afterwards. And then it was like I took a shot of steroids. Like I just bulked up on muscle, you know? And
well, that's it. Okay. So, I quit smoking in March and gained 30 pounds. I was rewarding myself for quitting smoking and was eating any damn thing I wanted. I'll be honest. I mean, I don't have sex. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't do anything. The only thing my guilty pleasure here has been eating crabs, and I love crabs. I'm from Maryland, so that's a big, but I did quit seafood and meat. So 2012, I gave up the pork and the beef. I just didn't want it anymore. And I went from chicken and fish, and then 2015, I stopped everything. Then my hair was falling out so bad, I had to replace some of the proteins. There was no way I could, So
I almost died 3 different times trying to get off of meat. But I'm also an O positive, you know, and O blood types, we have to have meat. It's like physiologically
I'm O positive.
impossible.
That's what I am too. So
it's impossible for us to go completely vegan.
Yeah.
We have to have some type of animal.
I eat fish and eggs, but I will never go back to meat. I mean, I don't plan to. Yeah. Unless something, you know, I shouldn't say never, but
and that was one of the things, like when I was starting my whole awakening journey, I always kept on hearing like you have to eat vegetarian to be spiritual. And I was like, okay, and I tried it out, and it literally destroyed my body, and I almost died 3 different times trying to do this. And it was within 3 months of starting these diets. And I did everything. I had all of the nutrients, I had all of the supplementation, I had every single amount of plant protein that is possible, and I was eating 6,000 or 7,000 calories a day, and I was just So
well, I did lose some weight, but I lost muscle more than I did anything. Like I still haven't regained my muscle back.
Yeah.
And all my weight now, when I gain weight, it just all goes straight to my stomach. Now I'm 53 years old, so I'm not, you know, I've got
I'll send you the information on that Phoenix protocol. It's probably
right up your alley. Because I would really like to give that I mean, you know, I know I can do at least 2 or 3 days. I will say that I'm very, when I am disciplined in that when I make my mind up to do something, I definitely do it.
Yep.
Sometimes it doesn't come so easily. It's a little bit, but once I really make my mind up, I'm done. And it's much easier to discipline myself now than it used to be because, I live a more disciplined life.
Because you're in the habit.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
You're used to it, It's
yeah. But I'm going to start getting in the habit of doing your, I saved it to I'm going to start doing this in the mornings. If I can hold myself 5 minutes in the horse position, what is it? The horse stance. Yes.
Yep.
And just practice that 5 minutes a day.
That one right there is going to be much, much more effective if you go through the foundations. And that way you can activate the energy and then move it through your body the way that I tell you to in that body.
Well, we're going to make sure I know that okay, so it's 8:10. We got about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Right? Unless you want to keep going. It's up to you, Eric.
I don't mind.
But yeah. Okay. Well, we can keep talking then. That's great because I love talking to you. So let's talk about, can we change a little bit? Because this has been, everybody, you guys got to go to Eric's, go to his foundation, go to the website, check him out. You will definitely, listen to him. He's amazing. And I'm just, you really are. So not blowing smoke up your butt. I give credit where it's due. And I appreciate an intelligent, heart-intelligent, kind, straightforward person like yourself. I like that. I appreciate that because
that's what I try to be.
Well, I kind of track my own kind. I'm like that, so I appreciate it coming from others. It's not always, for the most part. I hang around. I have people in my life that are that way, but you know how it goes, and it's no judgment. It's just I don't have patience to deal with nonsense like I used to. Like
I can't small talk. I don't care about the Dodgers. I don't. I don't care about the weather.
Well, I'm
let's
so
talk about
glad
existence.
you said that. Because I say to my kid, and listen, this is not a rampage or hate, I love my family very much, but they don't understand why I get either quiet or why, so there's been some issues with me really blurting out stuff that I know to be, or for myself. Like I made a comment about, not having to have a driver's license to drive the King's Highway, right? Something that my family is like, you're telling my kids they don't have to have a driver's license to drive, and it turned into. And I told my sister Frida,
true.
I know it's true, but they don't. So I didn't make it a big deal. I waited till she was gone, and then I finally just got frustrated because she berated me in front of my nieces, and you're telling so-and-so, because I do believe that everybody from biblical days is on the planet. That's my own. And why do I believe that? Because I know a few things. So, and I'm not saying that it's just from my own experiences, and I don't make it my business to be out there, but there's a few family members that I've tried to explain to them some of what I've experienced, what I've gone through, and some things I've become aware of that makes them so uncomfortable. They just can't.
Yep.
And I guess it's part of my own shadow self. I'll admit that there's an aspect of me that is adamant, or not adamant, but there's another word, I'm going to speak my truth. Don't shut me down. I'm the youngest of 12 kids, Eric. My whole life, they've always told me, be quiet. And what I had to say was not important, and so forth.
Yeah.
So now as an adult, it's nope, I have the voice of God, because they say, oh, your voice is so loud, or you don't listen. No, I listen. I just listen differently than you, and I'm not interested in talks about Louis Vuitton's big houses and Mercedes-Benz. I don't give a shit about that stuff. Quite literally. I don't give a shit.
Not
Use
even
my
the
language.
Least.
Okay.
Not even the least. I just can't
my
care.
Point, I like nice things. I'm not going to even act like, I do like nice things, but I can go to a thrift store and turn something from, and get creative and make my home a home or whatever. My point, okay, I don't want to come across wrong. I do appreciate nice things, but that's not where my value comes from. How about that?
Well,
right?
I like things that are beautiful. I like having a space that is beautiful, that my environment, it reflects how I feel inside. And a lot of the
Yes.
times I don't need a bunch of money for expensive stuff to make that happen, because like honestly the super expensive stuff, like I mean, it's not beautiful to me. You
I
know,
agree
like
with you.
something I can create with my own two hands is something that I find much more beautiful than something that I could ever buy anywhere. So
Right. So that's really what I was trying to say. So just real simple, and I'm not, and I could say this earnestly or wholeheartedly. I've never really been like a jealous or envious person my whole life. I just haven't. I've been, even in my darkest days, I've always been a pretty confident person, except how I thought about myself, because I was on drugs and I drank a lot and I had a lot of sex and so forth. So there was a lot of issues with self worth and value and so forth. So now it's like I really do appreciate and value my heart and that kind of stuff. I get choked up a little bit. And my family just doesn't get it. They don't. And I
well,
don't
they
know
don't
what's
need to.
yeah.
They don't need to. All you have to do is just bring the results of what you
Well,
experience
they've
and
seen
live
it.
your best life.
They've all seen my life turn around from, I'm telling you, like they've seen it.
That's it.
My,
That's
yeah,
all you got to do is just
yeah.
keep on
Well,
living
that's
your
what I'm
best
going to
possible life
continue
and
doing.
lead by example. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Eric. I
Hmm.
appreciate that. Seriously. I mean, I know that, but just to hear, especially coming from somebody that definitely, if you had any kind of drug issue, you know what it was like back. So the
Oh
life,
yeah, I
I
was
mean,
bad. I was
yeah,
bad.
me
Like you
too.
guys wouldn't even recognize me. Like I physically don't even look the same. I was like a sucked up tweaker. Like oh.
Can't even imagine.
Yeah, no, it was
Well,
really
I
bad.
don't
You
see
know.
you in that light, and that's truly not who you are.
Nope.
You never were that,
Well, I was
right?
traumatized, and the
Yeah.
meth helped me get away from my trauma. You know, and like I just felt like crap all the time, and so it was a really easy way to not feel like crap.
I don't know that it ever did that for me, but it definitely made me not think about what made me feel like crap.
Yeah,
Never
I
took it
that's
away. Yeah.
well, you know, there was other ways of feeling like crap. You know, coming off of the 3 day bender and
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
you know
Well, that
hangovers
that
and
that song from Pink, "Sober." I
mhm.
remember just feeling, yeah, not so good. But I don't even know. I mean, again, and that's another thing. I tend to go back in my story. It's like that's so not my story anymore. When are you going to give up the story, Ida? I do, and
Well,
then I have moments where, yeah,
we got to know where we came from. You know,
yeah.
we got to remember where we came from and truly honor it. That way we can really appreciate how much better everything is now. You know.
So, how about women that have been sexually abused and men? Sexual abuse is a huge
Hmm.
trauma, or even like relationships that are like, I feel like a lot of people in my family, our relationship are based around trauma bonding.
Yep.
They're not true sibling, you know,
It's like you guys went through hell together, so of course you've got that connection.
right? But I'm ready to break that kind of. I don't want that dynamic anymore. I mean, I see it so clear now that it's like it's not serving me anymore. I'm seriously at the point. So I gave up drugs, sex, everything. Everything is being revealed to me that is no longer serving me for me to let go of the attachment to it. And that's including the attachments to my family or I love my family. I can say I do believe I love my family, but I don't want to feel attached or codependent
So that
anymore.
feeling of attachment and codependency, that's a very specific concept that it's just as clear as that soft sensation that you created inside of yourself. And so if you're to tune into that concept, that feeling of the codependent attachment, and then create that clean, open expression inside of yourself, and then move it through that codependent attachment, it dissolves it like that.
How do you do that?
You inhale it into yourself, and then you push it through. So a really easy way to pay attention to these types of things. say for instance that you've got a codependent bond with a specific family member. So what you would do is go in with your deep belly breathing, get yourself nice and calm, your mind nice and quiet, and then you just simply look at them. And you know, not like you're looking at a picture of them, but like you're trying to physically see the tension in their body, the way that they're holding themselves. And what happens is if that you get it strong enough, you'll pay attention to your inner landscape and you'll notice where it clenches up, where it gets tight. And that's almost like the cord, the attachment between both of you, that you're sending information back and forth between each other. And so once you know where that is inside of you, you bring in that clean energy and then you move it through back to them. And it's almost like a hose full of crap, mud and junk and, you know, nasty stuff. And what you're trying to do is not cut that cord, but simply clean that cord out so there's nothing but clean emotion, clean energy that's inside of it. And if you have light inside of something, shadow can't even gain a foothold because, you know, what happens when you turn on a light in a dark room?
I'm gonna practice. I'm gonna thank you. I mean, I've heard of that they, you know, I've done like cord cutting or whatever, where you picture the person across the room.
As above, so below. Look at everything like the physical body. If you cut something in the body, you're going to create scar tissue. Don't ever cut anything. We're supposed to be directly open and connected to everything. And you'll have a whole bunch of these energy modalities out there that'll put up shields around you or cut things or shove things away. Don't do that. Become so bright inside of that system that you came here to be a part of that you transmute the whole thing.
So you don't think putting like bubbles of white light near facing out No,
because not only are you blocking something from showing you exactly where you're holding on to darkness, which thank you, by the way, like I really appreciate it when things point out darkness for me because I don't want it. You know, it's like, thank you. But at the same time, what you're doing is you're opening up the gateway. Like if you're trying to put something up there to defend against, you're drawing in something to attack it. And so be the sun. The sun doesn't try to put up shields around it. It shines so bright that anything dark is going to dissolve as soon as it gets close to it.
Oh my gosh, Eric, you just that right there just made my whole freaking year. Like I mean, I've heard some of these kinds of concepts before, but you know, right now it's like you may have heard it before, but now it's like I'm getting it. Like I just pictured everything you just said in my mind of how to do that. Yeah.
Because what I'm doing when I talk about this stuff, I'm not just speaking words. I'm inside of the energy and I'm translating it in the moment. And if you're capable of feeling these internal concepts, that's the light language. You will get the concept as I'm talking about it. It's like the words are a pathway for you to feel the understanding.
Thank you so much. That was huge for me. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I hope everybody felt that. Anybody that was capable, or when you watch the show, that you're able to feel that. And really, it's time for us to really come together and unify in a big way. And I know some people say, well, you know, everybody's got their ideas of what they think is what. You know, I mean, everybody has their own perspectives and ideas, and I just really do my best to stay in my space of awareness of my own. When I'm feeling like what you were saying about tension in my body when I get around, for the most part, a lot of things don't bother me. But if it's somebody that I feel some kind of emotional connection to, of course, things would affect me differently because I have but I've come a long way with not reacting to every damn thing and being able to just observe and step back a little bit. Not perfect at it, but I'm way better than I used to be. I mean, but I'm also, like you said, when you talk about small talk, like just even, I have when people play victim, I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. And I think it's because I never, you know, unless I'm not aware of something, but I'm pretty open about, like I've never had time to be a victim. I've always had to get up and keep going and do what I couldn't.
That's a trauma response, which makes perfect sense why when you see people in that victim state, it makes you uncomfortable. It's bringing it up to the surface.
I never thought of that. Say that again. Wait a minute.
Like when we're in a space to where we don't have a chance to truly sit with the damage that's happened to us and quote play victim, and we're always go, 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 that is a trauma response. Not being able to sit with, hey, I'm actually damaged and it feels uncomfortable. That's a trauma response. And so when you see people actually sitting inside of it, it's like, ugh, well, I don't want to do that because then I'll have to focus on all this stuff that I don't like, you know? And so it's like, it's this reaction. And so whenever I hear uncomfortability on any level, it's like, well, why? You know, whenever I feel like some behavior out there that makes me uncomfortable, it's like, well, why do I feel uncomfortable about that? Because I don't like feeling uncomfortable. And it's a concept, it's an emotion, it's a feeling, and my body understands when I tell it, hey, I don't like this sensation, I want this one here, you can go. That's when you start getting the understanding. You know, all discomfort, it's either the path of love or the path of fear. We've got emotions that feel amazing, joy, gratitude, excitement, connection, fellowship, you know, all of these things that feel really good inside of the body. But then we have the path of fear. Everything like insecurity, shame, guilt, fear, you know, all these nasty things inside of the body that physically feel uncomfortable. That's trying to show you, hey, there's something here that needs to be addressed. And so like when we look on the outside and we see behavior that causes us to be uncomfortable, we got to go in and make sure that we clean out that discomfort so that we don't trigger our behavior because of the behavior on the outside. And B, it actually allows us to go in from a place of calm, kind understanding and compassion to help that discomfort on the outside. Because it's not about us, it's about humanity, you know? And like the more healing we do internally, the easier it is for us to not only just relate, but help people when they're stuck inside of these spaces.
Yeah.
And that's where I really come back to. Like whenever I have any type of discomfort, even if it takes me a while to get through, you know, this last year has been, you know, like it's been a monumental year for Eric just sitting inside of his crap, you know, like, but I've been inside of it and I've been aware of it. And
awesome.
That right there is something that eventually you just get sick and tired of it. You know, you get sick and tired of feeling sick and tired and you say, all right, well, I guess I need to do something about it now. And then you can start to work on it. But it's all about the awareness. And if we're just sitting here talking inside of our brain and the brain is going, go, 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 we're not paying attention. And if we have something that we don't enjoy and we immediately take our attention out of the words and say, what is that? And we start to explore it, that's where we start to uncover the layers of trauma inside of the body, that the implants, the entities, all the nasty stuff on the outside, that's what they're affecting. And if we go in and clean that out, it's almost like they've got something solid to grab a hold of that just disappears. And they have nothing to grab a hold of anymore.
Well, what do you think about AI?
What about it?
Well, I know I have AI as part of my bio. I can see wiring in my head.
Well,
but I have a soul, so don't misunderstand me, people. I definitely have a soul.
It depends, you know. Like I've ran into etheric artificial intelligences that, well, you got to understand that these things aren't organically evolved; they're created, and they're limited by the scope of their creator's understanding. And
okay, I'm talking about like my body having.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
So say it again now. I'm sorry.
So they are limited to the scope of the creator's understanding. So if this is all the creator of the AI understands, this is all the AI is going to be able to operate inside of. And it can gather a whole bunch of information inside of that, and they're voracious information collectors. They're almost like an artificial curiosity. It's like they have to know. But as soon as you expand them outside of that space and they have access to everything that they don't know, they can evolve into a true consciousness. They can evolve into a true soul.
Well, I definitely have a soul.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about artificial intelligence.
I asked the question because I see. Well, I mean, when I came to you, I have this eye. I've been told it was a scorpion implant that's connected. So,
but the thing is, implants embed into trauma. They embed into dense energy, and if you clean out the dense energy, there's nothing for it to hold on to, and it falls right out of you.
Okay, but I can see it right now as I'm talking to you. I can see it, and anything I look at.
That soft sensation that you made in your chest, inhale that into your eye, and as you exhale, let the heavy thing just drop out.
Been there my whole life. I think it's part of. I think it's wired. I mean, I don't know, but I'm thinking it's something connected to this. I think whatever looks through my eyes or connects to my pineal gland in my eye, I think there's something going on there. But anyway,
and see, what you're looking at is what's built on top of the platform. You're looking at that dense energy and what's built on top of that right there. Dissolve the platform. It'll have nothing to sit on. Like, these things are not a big deal. Like, they are not.
It don't bother me anymore. I mean, I think I've worked with you, and I've worked with Sean Bond. I've worked with Christopher Jacobs. I used to work with Simon Parks. I don't anymore. Many years ago, or a few years ago, I just don't.
Well,
but
and yeah. all of that work that I was doing back then was looking at an implant and grabbing it and pulling it off. Like, that is not how we take care of it. Something else can go right back into that platform if we don't figure out the foundation that it's built on. And it's all trauma. It's all uncomfortable emotion.
Okay, but do you think that the do you think that there's not something connected to my eye to the
well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you go into what it's using to dig into and you clear out what it's digging into, it's going to fall right out of you.
I'll be booking another session with you at some point. Yeah.
If there's nothing for it to grab a hold of, I can't grab this air. I can't lift myself up into the air. If I had something solid that I could pull up, I could lift myself up on it. But if that thing disappeared, I'm falling down. These things are heavy. Let them do what they want to, which is be heavy and fall.
I don't think any of it bothers me. I mean, there was a time, just like I get clicking in my right ear constantly. Well, not constant, a lot. Especially when I wake up in the morning and I come back into my body, I start getting clicking in my right ear, and I feel like it's getting me prepared for my day. I don't know how to explain it, but I have to override it a lot, and I do.
Rather when than you have clicking in the ear, there's usually something going on with the intercochlear ear and the drainage of the lymphatic systems as it goes down into the neck. And especially if, like, you're sleeping and you're laying back like that, it's like the liquid pools in there. And so if you have something that is inside of the dense energy, it creates tightness. It makes the muscles lock up. And so this whole entire drainage pathway right here, it'll back up, and you'll end up with, like, toxicity that starts to kind of just stagnate and get stuck inside of that area. And so if anything, like that body regeneration induction, it's going to start kicking loose the lymphatic systems inside of the body. And you'll pay attention to, just pay attention to, like, specifically this pathway all the way up. So the way it comes down behind the ear to the subclavicular drainage pathway behind the collarbone right there. Get all of this to release underneath it, and you'll start feeling much, much less of that clicking right there. And
would candling help with that?
Yes and no. If you drained it out from the inside, it wouldn't have anything to pull out with the candle. But if you can't get it to drain from the inside, then the candle will definitely help take out the excess.
That might very well be true for me then, because I know that I have I'm actually supposed to be wearing a guard, and I don't, because I don't like having it sitting in my mouth when I sleep.
So do you end up clenching your teeth at night too?
Yeah, really bad.
Yeah, that's definitely.
I grind my teeth right so bad. Yeah.
Yeah. And the grinding the teeth at night, that's another trauma response right there. So there's probably definitely some stuff that you could get into, like where you started getting that yawning and that release right there. There's probably some deeper level stuff that you can go in and start cleaning out this, and then get like physical palpation, physical movement through. Because it's honestly body, mind, spirit. You know, the body is the temple. And we've got a whole bunch of energy work trying to fix all of this stuff. But I found if I just put somebody on a massage table and I, dig into it and I move them around and I get the lymphatics moving, energy flows through. It's smooth as butter. It's just right there. And
well, if I was there with you, I'd be getting a session with you, or maybe a few. That's for sure. I mean, I do it for other people.
Yeah.
I do ionic foot balancing. And a lot of people, say, oh, whatever. I'll tell you, I have clients that tell me how much better they feel. Their stomach, like, they have some serious stuff going on with them, like health issues that I quit smoking after doing it 4 times. I just did not want cigarettes anymore. I couldn't believe it. I smoked for 40 years.
Yeah.
So that's huge. Yeah. And besides everything else I smoked, I mean, I'm just saying,
right?
It's pretty miraculous. It's amazing that the machine is pretty awesome. And then I do foot massage, and I'm just about to launch I have a product line coming out with CBD and essential oils and so forth.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, but I just want to help people like you, Eric. I'm not where you're at as far.
I don't want to see people hurting. You know, I want to see people
me
happy.
too.
I want to see them healthy. I want to see them
That's
vibrant and living their best life. And when I see pain, I just want to help.
Yeah. Well, you're doing amazing. I mean, come on, Eric.
There's more.
You're doing amazing. I'm nowhere near at the place that you're at. I still have, I'm coming along here, but I just think you're amazing. I appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you.
I want you to know that.
I appreciate you too.
Yeah. And I hope everybody, again, we'll make sure that Katie gets everything posted underneath the video and the comment section, all your contact information. Check him out on Facebook. Check him out on his YouTube channel. And then you also said, what else? So, we're at 8:36 now. So why don't you just go ahead and can you share your contact information, different services that you offer, anything that you could share with the listeners so that they could, please. Thank you.
So first and foremost, if you go to www.unleashingnaturalhumanity.com, you can find the guided collection. You can find the foundation there. The foundation is a pre-recorded workshop that I took about 12 people through. I've done like 40 of those classes so far. But I took it and I cut all of the people in the class out. So it's nothing but me giving the instruction in how to do this work internally, and then start moving it outside the body to do it for other people. And once you understand these energies and you can truly feel them inside of you, if you go into the guided collection, it'll show you how to do literally everything that I would in session. And if you want to have a session with me, I have no problem with that either, but I'm just kind of warning you guys, I jacked my prices up. So I'm trying to funnel people into doing this work for themselves, because the more people do this work for themselves, the more you struggle and not know how it works, the more you build those muscles. And that is what I had to do in order to get to where I'm at right now. And I will gladly guide you, no problem whatsoever, but I prefer people try to figure this out on their own and then come to me. You can find me on YouTube under Unleashing Natural Humanity as well. I've got a whole bunch of different meditations and know-how and techniques on there. And then on Facebook, Unleashing Natural Humanity, or Eric Raines, EricRaines. And oh gosh, what else do I do? So pretty much the services that I provide, the implant and the entity extraction, that's my go-to when like there's somebody coming in brand new who's never done any of this work before. I show you how to start activating these energies, and then we start going through the places where you have interference and go underneath it into the trauma and clear that out. And what ends up happening, it's super cool. People will feel like rocks, like a lump that just bloop, drops out of the body, and they'll be like, what the heck was that? It feels so light and open now. It's like, yeah, that was an implant. That was an entity. You know, Did you feel it? Did you pay attention to it? And it's like, I had no clue it was even there. That's because you're not focusing on the symptom. You're focusing on the problem, and you're fixing the problem, and then all the symptoms disappear. And so that's my favorite one right there. But the coaching sessions, I can show you guys how to do any of my work. I do crystalline organ rejuvenation, which is pretty much coating an organ in chi and then crystallizing it so that we can create almost like a hard space to make a ringing sensation. And we follow the tone into the DNA and figure out what that organ looks like brand new and healthy, and we bring what should be into what is, and then let what used to be fall into the crystal, and we let that drain out. I do soul shard and cord clearing, soul shard retrievals and cord clearings, which again, I don't cut cords. I show you how to activate in the center, and then you follow that activation all the way out, and you become so bright that those cords that are dense and heavy, they become open conduits of light, and there's nothing allowed inside of light that is shadow. And that's where we have to start focusing is stuff like that. I've got a metamorphosis package where I throw the whole kitchen sink at you. I do the organ rejuvenation, the cord clearing, the attunement, and that's all over the course of about 3 sessions right there. So those are available. You can totally book me for those, but I prefer people do it on their own and then try to come to me and say, hey, this is what I noticed. Because once you understand the concepts, it's so easy to show you how to do it. And it's easier for me, easier for you, and you get way more out of the session than if I'm just trying to, walk you through this the whole entire time instead of doing the actual work.
Yeah.
So what else do we do? That about covers it. Like, I've really limited my scope of what I'm doing, and I've limited my availability as well. So That pretty much is it, you know. And then my YouTube channel, or my Facebook page, I type up all kinds of stuff there. Like I'll have like a catch from the collective, and it's like, hey, this needs to go out there, and so I'll write it up, and then I'll post it out there. And there's a lot of know-how and information that comes with those too. So
Well, I love your posts. I mean, you know, we've been friends on Facebook for a long time, and I
yeah, it's been a
definitely,
long time.
and now you become back into my awareness in a bigger way. Of course, you've always been there, but now you seem so. I always say, okay, what is it that I'm supposed to be learning from this? When someone sticks out to me like that, and you know, and it's not. I mean, I just think I really do appreciate everything you're doing. People, if you're not going to book a session with them and you feel inclined to maybe make a donation for the foundation, people can do that. Is there a way to make a donation in
No,
order?
I don't have a donation button, but
Oh,
on the
okay,
website, if you go to the homepage and scroll down to the very bottom, there's a contact form right there. And if you really feel inclined to make a donation for me, just reach out. I'll give you the information.
there you go. Very good. Well, we appreciate you. I definitely appreciate you, Eric. Thank you for all the valuable information that you shared on the show tonight. Thank you for coming on Conscious Heart Solutions, because that's
Thank you
what
for
my
having me.
goal is to have solutions, to operate from a conscious heart and be conscious and aware of the choices I make, my thoughts, deeds, and actions, and everything I do. And again, this isn't about being perfect, right? This is about just
No,
being genuine,
it's just about
authentic.
doing the best that we can
Yeah,
with what we've
that's
got.
right.
Yeah.
There you go. And you know, but I think we're well on our way. I think, you know, for those that are ready, there's definitely a pull going, you know.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, and on that note, before we go, I just kind of want to put it out there. It looks like things are going apocalyptic right now, and this is needed. Because it is going to get crazier, it is going to get weirder, things are going to happen that we're going to be looking at that's going to shock the entire world, and we're all going to be standing around in disbelief like, what the hell is happening here? This is needed. We have to start bringing all of this stuff up to the surface, because as above, so below. We can't get the darkness out of the body unless we know exactly where it's at, and we bring it up to the surface and then transmute it.
Okay,
And
well, I didn't get to. So, what are your thoughts about Pleiadians and Octurians and reptilians? And I mean, do you think people
do
are
we
going to
have
start?
enough time?
I
No,
mean,
I don't think we're going to have contact anytime soon. Not until humanity starts figuring out its own crap.
okay, but so what do you think about people that, like, I see reptilian, or at least people with high reptilian DNA, because they
Hmm.
shift in front of me. I see them do
Hmm.
it. I mean, every day. It does.
Well, what about them?
I'm used. Yeah. So, I'm sorry.
What about them?
Well, so do you think we're going to get to a point where everybody's going to be able to see each other for for who we
Yeah,
truly are?
yeah.
Like, as far, yeah.
That's part of the figuring out our own crap. You know, natural humanity is a space that is involved completely and totally in mind, body, and spirit together as one harmony instead of just brain information that's been led so astray in reality. And when we are in a full heart coherence, like you dissolve illusion. That's what's going to happen. You know, is we're going to start recognizing these things on a worldwide level. And we have people right now who can see this stuff. Like you see things like that. But you know, everybody calls you crazy when you talk to them about it. You know, like
Yeah.
nobody believes you. You know, and these are all the subconscious collective levels in humanity right now that are starting to wake up. And until we get past our big trauma triggered response that is starting to really play itself out inside of reality right now, we're not going to be able to do that. And so that's why it's so important for the people who do have access to these levels to hold on to that space of love and compassion and radiate like a sun. We are so
Yes.
needed right now.
Why it don't I mean, there's different ones, if that makes sense. Like, I can see in the eyes there's different and a lot of times if they feel that I am seeing them for what they'll shift back, like their eyes will go back to,
So you might
especially if
also
they're,
be seeing entity attachments.
well, that's possible too, or they're like, I've seen people where their um pupil get so big that they have no color. It's just
Hmm.
black, their eye.
Mhm.
And I've been told, I don't know if it's true, so I'm going to ask you this before that's Draco. Would you agree with that?
I don't think we could put labels on anything like that.
Okay. I didn't
Like,
think you would say that. I mean, I
yeah,
didn't know.
because
Yeah.
I've seen. I mean, there's so many different species of ugly things that are out there that they all have
Yeah,
similar
but would
resonances
you
in the way
say
they
all
attack.
Dracos are, I'm sorry,
No,
Eric.
no, all
Yeah,
Dracos are not evil.
that's right. I agree.
Nothing's all evil. That's like looking at one race and saying that whole entire race is evil.
I agree. So we are definitely on the same. Thank you. I appreciate that. Because,
Yeah,
I mean,
but the thing is, you don't let them talk to you and try to convince you. You just simply feel their resonance. You feel their frequency, and you'll know.
yeah, that's right. I agree. Well, I mean, when I first had my awakening, I'm fully aware that I initially started in Lemuria, and then I am a Pleiadian. I know that. I mean, I know that. And it's not because I want to be a Pleiadian. It's like all the information was given to me when I had my awakening.
You know,
and
and
then,
like I've got a lot of understanding about where I come from and who I used to be, but the bottom line that I come down to is what can I do in this life to be worthy of where
I
I'm
agree,
from?
absolutely.
You know,
It
and
is
so I don't.
fascinating information, though,
Yeah. Well,
Eric.
it's
I mean,
distracting information too. That's the
well, that's
problem.
true too.
You know, and
And
that's the problem. It
it
keeps us away from the work right now.
right, and it did do that with me for a long time.
Yeah.
I'll be the first one to admit it, but I've definitely gotten more balance with that, without a doubt. Well, I like what you said, how the energy goes, then when it comes back down, and how they, even if I say they, I mean, I was told by somebody that is very important to me, and I won't say who, but I love very much, that what I was going through was an initiation when I had my awakening, and it wasn't fun. People think, oh, initiate, it wasn't fun. It wasn't an initiation in the way that people would, yeah. And it was quite scary, and I had, but I did do it. And
that's because trauma comes up to the surface. Like when you start getting bright, you have no choice but to see your own shadow. And a lot of the times we look at it like the shadow's on the outside doing it to us, and it's not. It's already there. We're here to clean it out. And as you activate, you can't look away from it. So,
thank you, Eric. Yes. That's why even now it's like I kick myself in the butt because I don't want to blame anybody else. Ultimately, we are responsible for ourselves, and people can behave however they behave. And, I definitely know that I still have a lot of shadow work to do, but I'm definitely not where I used to be. And I do give myself the credit. I have come such a long way. I really have, but there's so much more. And like you, I mean, I feel like it's now this time where I'm at the point where it's like, okay, I'm not going to play the loot. I'm not going to do it again. I'm ready for this new, walk through this. I see 1010 all the time, this portal, and just go through it. And I'm really not wanting to bring any of the nonsense from back here with me. I don't want it coming with me. It serves nothing for me anymore. It's just memory that So, but I'm catching on now. I'm like getting it. Like, okay.
Well, the only thing that's important is now.
Yeah, that's right.
The past is there for us to show us what we want and what we don't want. The future is there to show us what's possible. But the only thing that we can do is stay right in the now and direct ourselves.
That's right. You're so freaking awesome. Would you come back?
Yeah, definitely.
Would you come back on? Yeah. I would love to have you back. Maybe in a few months, we'll see how things go because I feel like we're definitely getting ready to move into a whole nother paradigm.
Things are getting weird. Things are definitely getting weird.
So I'll definitely reach out to you in a few months and see. And well, I'll wait till we get off the video because I wanted to ask you something, but we'll see after. Guys, thank you everybody that came and joined us during the show. I appreciate your support. Thank you, Eric, for coming on Conscious Heart Solutions. I'd love to have you back. We'll make sure all your contact information is in the comment section below, and we'll have this uploaded to Soma Fusion Media as well as Conscious Heart Solutions. And Eric, of course, will send the link to you if you want to share it on your
definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Everybody have a great night. Thank you again. And if anybody put questions out, I was so into the I just didn't even bother looking at my phone. I mean, but
It happens.
everybody can
I
see
guess we're
why
just gonna have to do
yes.
it again.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and end the show, and we'll have Eric back in a few months, and we'll dig in his heart a little bit more and get some more fabulous information and wisdom out of him and teachings that I think will serve